Here's what's making news now around Indiana, brought to you by Smithville. Well, General Motors plans to invest an additional $1 billion in its U.S. manufacturing operations. Specific plants have yet to be identified. The automaker has major operations in Fort Wayne, Marion, and Bedford, and says it will announce details of those individual projects throughout the year. And a long-time Muncie and East Central Indiana community advocate and marketing and media professional has died. Al Rent most recently served as general manager of public broadcasting at Ball State University. He was also an owner at WLBC, WXFN Radio in Muncie, and a true bright light and servant leader for the city and that area. Al Rent was 73. Well, the Indiana University Lilly Family School of Philanthropy is out with a new report on charitable giving and projects the U.S. is expected to see over the next 2 years. The Philanthropy Outlook 2017 and 2018 projects show that continued growth in the overall economy will lead to a rise in philanthropic giving. And for more on the report and the implications, I'm pleased to be joined by the Director of Research for the school, Dr. Una Osili. And Dr. Osili, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. Yeah. Thank you.
It's important work the school does, obviously, not just here, but around the globe in the whole philanthropic arena. Let's talk about giving. And there's a direct tie, obviously, to the economy. Give us the landscape as we begin 2017 for giving philanthropy in the United States. Coming out of the recession a few years ago, how do things look?
Thank you for asking. Well, what we have learned from our research is that the economy is the single most important driver of overall giving. And as we've seen the U.S. economy recover, we now have a much more favorable environment for charitable giving. Keep in mind, charitable giving is extremely vital in our local as well as national context, and as a share of GDP is more than 2% of GDP, and also employs a significant amount of people. So a lot of jobs are being created in the philanthropic sector.
So a lot of organizations, a lot of people are going to be very interested in this 2017-18 outlook. As you look at the giving areas overall, it seems to be a pretty positive outlook.
Absolutely. We have estimated, as you've shared, growth of over 3%, 3.6% in 2017, 3.8% in 2018. And we see giving growing for all donor types, individuals, foundations, corporations, and also estates. The largest growth will come from foundations. We're projecting a growth of over 6% for foundations in 2017. Continued growth reflecting the very robust growth we've had in the stock market and in the economy overall.
And some of the specific areas, too, that look to gain in the next 2 years. Healthcare and education, you've talked about those areas.
Yes, so for the first time this year, we're releasing projections for giving to healthcare, giving to education, and then public society benefits. We're seeing the biggest growth in health, again reflecting the very strong economy we have and the growth in consumption. The second area is education. Education has benefited from, again, a very positive stock market, but also that individuals are starting to invest more in and give more in the education sector. Keep in mind, I think you noted this, that during the recession, we saw some shifts in how donors were giving, where some donors gave more to human services, and that since the recovery has sort of taken a hold, many donors are returning to their pre-recession priorities, and many of those are in education, in healthcare, and to some extent, we're seeing that in public society benefits and the arts as well, which isn't covered in this report.
These are national numbers, but as you look at giving in Indiana and how it stacks up compared to the nation as a whole, how's the giving landscape here in Indiana?
Again, a great question. I will say for Indiana, one of the benefits we have, although we don't have these projections for our state, we can look at our economic indicators here and see how they stack up to the national. And that's what tells us that the giving picture in Indiana should also be quite favorable, given that our employment numbers are starting to recover. In fact, even track better than the national averages for unemployment. We're seeing a healthy recovery in the housing sector, although it's still a bit uneven. And certainly when we look at the overall employment and housing, the real sector and the financial sector, the Indiana economy appears to be on very strong footing for 2017 and 2018, especially if we compare it to what we saw during the recession.
Certainly. Dr. Una Osili, Director of Research at the IU Lilly Family School of Philanthropy. Thank you so much. Great perspective and some positive news, too, so really
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, and happy to come back again anytime.
Great.
Thank you.
Back on. Thank you.